Namaskar. My name is Senapati. I'm a professor of education. I have served as principal Institute of Education, NCRT Bhopal, and also director NCRT New Delhi. I'm very happy to be a part of this program. I'm thankful to IGNO for giving me this opportunity. Today's discussion is on teacher education and teacher educators. I'm very happy that I'm going to present my views on this topic, which is very important for the implementation of National Education Policy 2020. All of us know now we are in the process of implementing NEP 2020. In this context, teachers are going to play a very significant role. Only through teachers we can implement this policy. We can really bring about change in our classroom process only through teachers. That is why we should know what is happening in our country, what is our teacher education, what type of teacher education program we are having, and what type of teacher educators we need to implement this policy in our classroom, particularly at the grassroots level. Of course, no, because this policy is going to be implemented by teachers, and teacher educators are going to play a very significant role because teacher educators are preparing teachers, and teachers are going to implement this policy in the classroom so far as the school education is concerned. And when we're talking of this teacher education, we should not see teacher education in isolation. And we have to see teacher education in the context of school education, in the context of higher education, because interlinked. And what is happening in school education, that is being reflected in teacher education. If there is change in school education, definitely there will be corresponding change in teacher education programs. And after this policy, now we are going to have this 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 structure of school education. Earlier, we had 10 plus 2 pattern of school education. Now we have 3 more years, 15 years of schooling. Earlier, it was 12 years. Now it is 15 years. And during these 15 years, we have to take care of all categories of the learners, starting from preschool to secondary, higher secondary. Now, of course, it is not higher secondary, it is secondary. And in view of the structure, when we are going to prepare teachers, we have to bring about a change in our teacher education program. What policy has recommended, if we go through it seriously, definitely we have to bring about a change. We need a revolution in the field of teacher education. Why I say so? Because now we are talking of paradigm shift in learning. And what policy has recommended? Policy has recommended experiential learning, art integrated learning, sport integrated learning, ICT integrated learning, story-based pedagogy, so many things, so far as the pedagogy is concerned. But if we look at the vision of the policy, that is most important. We should start from the vision. When we're talking about the vision of the policy, the focus of this policy is an Indian ethos, Indian culture, Indian tradition, Indian value system. That means our children should be connected to their roots. They should understand our culture, they should understand our tradition, value system, and also the language, because that is going to play a very significant role. That is why policy is putting a lot of emphasis on this multilingualism. And when we're talking of this Indian culture, Indian ethos, it is not that only our children will be knowing about the Indian culture and they will be limited to that only Indian knowledge system. This policy is also talking about global citizenship. That means they will be connected to their roots and they will also know what is happening outside the country, because now in 21st century, we all are interconnected and there is no geographical distance. That is why our children should understand what is happening in other countries. Of course, that is our culture, because all the time we say Vasudeva Kutumbakam, whole world is one family. So we are trying to connect our children to their roots, and also we are helping them to understand what is happening in other countries by promoting this global citizenship. And along with this, what this policy expects, we should create a very vibrant, equitable society, knowledge society, where all categories of learners will get the opportunity to learn. Children who are coming from tribal area, children who are coming from rural area, children who are coming from slum, deprived section, they should get the right type of education so that we can have a very equitable, vibrant knowledge society. That is our concern. If that is our concern, then to prepare that type of system, we need skills and competencies among the teachers who can take care of all categories of learners. It may be Divyang, maybe gifted, and maybe the deprived section. So all children should be. And if you see the vision of this policy is putting a lot of emphasis on fundamental duties and constitutional values. What we are doing now. All the time our focus is on cognitive domain. We expect our children should acquire mastery over the content, what is there in the text. And they are acquiring mastery over the competency and securing good mark in exam. But that is not going to serve the purpose. What we expect? We expect they should develop the basic competencies. They should understand their duties and responsibilities. They should understand the constitutional values. That is more important, because in our society now we are facing a lot of problems. There is crime in our society, there is depression, there is suicide. So many things are there, so many social issues are there. If we will not strengthen this up, if we will not make conscious of our children of their duties and responsibilities, then it will be very difficult for us. And our children cannot become good citizens of this country. They cannot become good human beings. Ultimately, what we want they should acquire mastery, they should develop the competencies, they should acquire the skills, and ultimately they should become good citizens of this country and good human beings. If that is the purpose of education, then what type of school environment we should create so that our children will get opportunity not only to acquire mastery over the content, but also to develop the feelings, they develop their affective domain. They can develop the fellow feeling, belongingness, cooperation, collaboration. So all these good socio-personal qualities should develop among the students. That is most important. Because that is neglected. That aspect, we say education is for all-round development, but that aspect is neglected. Practically, parents are putting a lot of emphasis on these marks. Teachers are also putting emphasis how their students will secure good mark. And we all expect that our children should acquire mastery and secure good mark in exam. But that is not going to serve the purpose. That is why now time has come. We should understand what is required in 21st century and how we should students. And to prepare our students in that direction, we need good teachers. That is why we are putting a lot of emphasis on this teacher education program. And what is happening in school education? What are the changes we are expecting in school education, particularly in the field of curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment? That should be thoroughly reflected in teacher education program. Because as per this policy, what we expect competency-based curriculum. And we expect competency-based examination because now we are in 21st century. We expect our children to develop their problem-solving ability. They should develop their critical thinking. They should develop their communication skills. They should develop their creativity. And they should be in a position to solve the problem in a very creative and innovative way. So that they can face the challenge in 21st century, they can convert challenges into opportunities if they will develop these basic skills and competences. And along with that, they will also understand Indian culture, Indian tradition, Indian value system, so that their affective domain will be strengthened because we believe in Vasudeva Kutumbakam. The whole world is one family and we respect each other and we believe in fellow feeling, cooperation, collaboration. So that is our culture. So that should be integrated in our teacher education program. So from that point of view, what we expect when we are going to design curriculum for this, because now this national curriculum framework is in the process. And after that, we'll come out with the new textbooks, new syllabus. And there we expect some changes that mean particularly keeping in view the structure. When we are talking about the structure, that 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 structure, and in this structure, we need a different type of teachers because when we're talking of this foundation stage, we have to now we need different type of teacher because the preschool has been integrated with the class 1 and 2, and our focus is on holistic development. And we want to strengthen their socio-personal qualities. And for keeping in view that, we have to prepare teachers. And the pedagogical, we expect also some paradigm shift in our teaching learning process. That means it should be more participatory, children should play. We should not extend class 1 to preschool. It should be stage appropriate, it should be age appropriate, and accordingly, we should design our curriculum. And keeping in view the curriculum, we should also develop our teacher education program so that teacher can acquire basic skills and competencies and they can cope with the system, they can really implement this NEP 2020 at the foundation stage. Because in foundation stage, our focus is on development of the basic skills in literacy and numeracy. And we all know that what problem we are facing in our country, because many times it comes in newspaper, and NCERT has also conducted this survey, and we are not satisfied with the result. We all know that when the competency level in 17, we conducted this competency-based national achievement survey, and performance is not satisfactory. And class 3 average score is around 60. Class 5 it is decreasing around 50. When they're going to class 8, still it is decreasing. That means there is some gap what we expect and what our students are learning. Particularly when we're talking about the competency. In exam, board exam, they may score 100 out of 100, but they are not acquiring the basic competencies what they need in 21st century. That is why we have to be very careful while preparing the teacher. Similarly, when we are talking of this vocational education, because that is the focus of this policy, because India is going to be the youngest country in the world. Number of youth, and we should develop their skills and competencies, and we are going to introduce vocational education from class 6 onwards. And in the current scenario, they are in class 9 and 10. And when we are going to introduce from class 6 onwards, we expect that our children should be oriented about the different vocations, what is available locally, and they should visit local surrounding, they interact with the local people, and local experts also should visit to school. And there will be no separate stream of vocational education. Vocational education will be an integral part of teacher education, general education. So keeping in view this scenario, we need teachers. That means who will understand this, the purpose of this vocational education. It is not only we want to introduce just to develop the skills and competency. We want to promote dignity of labor. And that our teachers should understand, and that should be integrated in teacher education program. So that is why now we should take care of this aspect also in our teacher education program, so that we can really integrate vocational education into general education. Because now in NEP 2020 it is also there. Because in India, as per the data, around 5% of students coming through formal vocational education Whereas in South Korea, it is around 95, 96%. You see the gap. And we have vocational education in class 9, 10, 11, 12. We are teaching around 1,000 hours. That means for the skill level, that is not adequate. In other countries, it is more. So that is why while developing this curriculum, we have to take care of that. And accordingly, we have to bring about corresponding change in our teacher education program so that we can take care of this vocational education. Similarly, when our children will go to the secondary stage, in secondary stage, now we are going to have a lot of flexibility because so far as the fundamental guiding principles of policies are concerned, we are talking of a lot of flexibility, with no hard separation between vocational education and general education, no hard separation between curricular, co-curricular, and extracurricular activities, and no hard separation between art, science, commerce, like this. The students, that means what we expect the student can select subject of their choice. That is the most important thing. Now we actually, in theory, we are talking of multiple intelligence, but in practice, what we are doing in our school system, what we are doing all the time, we are trying to find out what our children do not know. That is called deficit model. We believe in deficit model, and we try to find out what they do not know. But what modern theory suggests, that we should believe in strength model, not in deficit model. What our children can do, what they can contribute, and keeping in view that now we are going to introduce flexibility in our curriculum. Student can select subject of their choice. That is the strength, because let them learn as per their choice, as per their interest, as per their ability. That is because everybody is not having the same type of intelligence. Some are good in logical, mathematical intelligence. Some are good in musical intelligence, kinesthetic intelligence, and intrapersonal intelligence, so etc. So that is why we should provide them equal opportunity. We should provide them right to select their subject of their choice. That is most important, because without that, what we are doing, we are asking children to learn a particular for which they have no interest. So now this policy, we're fortunate that policy has taken care of that, and the policy has recommended that we should take care of our children, and we should give them option and let them select subject of their choice. They can select subject of their choice, and they can learn comfortably, and they can excel in their own area. And now we are going beyond this textbook, because though in 5 recommended that we should go beyond textbook, go beyond classroom. And now we in policy has highlighted that, and we are going to implement all this in our classroom. So we have a lot of flexibility, no hard separation, and language, because we are going to introduce this multilingualism, particularly the children who are coming from the tribal area, their mother tongue is different. And we are preparing textbooks in state language and regional language, and they are not getting opportunity to learn effectively. That is why when they will get opportunity to learn through their mother tongue, the textbook will be available in their mother tongue, and local history, local geography, their own language, culture will be integrated into the textbook. Definitely, there will be change in the teaching learning process, and our teachers should understand that it has a very significant implication for teachers. Teachers should know the local language. So while selecting teachers, we should take care of that. They should know language. That is another recommendation of the policy also. So that the keeping in view all these, we should prepare our teacher education program. So that there will be perfect matching between the changes what the policy has recommended, and that's accordingly that should be corresponding change in the teacher education program. That is the most important thing that we should do. Number two, when we're talking of the pedagogy, this is about the curriculum. When we're talking of the pedagogy, what policy expects? Policy expects there should be experiential learning. Why we're talking of experiential, let children have experience, that they let them be exposed to a variety of experiences so that they can learn effectively. We all know that if there is more experience, if there is better social interaction, then there is better learning. And that is why what policy has recommended, there should be art integrated learning, our local art, our culture, should be integrated and with the teaching learning, so that learning will be more joyful and student will not drop out school, because we have already conducted experiment on this art integrated learning in some blocks, and it is found that once it is introduced, children they don't leave school and they enjoy learning, and learning becomes more meaningful. And not only we can teach them through art and culture, make the learning joyful. Along with that, we can preserve our art, we can preserve our culture. So that is some that the policy has recommended, and that should be also reflected in teacher education program. When we're preparing teacher, we should not ask them just to deliver 40 lessons or 60 lessons. Along with that, they should create conducive learning environment, keeping in view the recommendation of the policy, particularly the point of view pedagogy. When we're talking about the art integrated learning, that should be an integral part of teacher education program. Similarly, we are talking of the sport integrated learning. What policy has recommended that we are now putting a lot of emphasis on physical education, physical development, games and sports now, all because of Olympic now, we all are highly motivated. And now that should be also an integral part of the teaching learning process. And while playing, student can learn. So that means that we should be very competent. Our teachers should be very competent to implement this in the school environment, in schools. So that is most important. Another is ICT integrated learning, because we all know that when we are preparing the teacher education program, that teacher education program, we are, of course, now we are trying to integrate ICT. But if you look at the school, in a school, though it is being integrated slowly, but teachers are not oriented about how to use ICT as a tool, because most of the people think that by integrating ICT means putting the text material in printed form, that means transacting, not only for transmission, and let students use different ICT tools to learn, so that they can have better collaboration. It may be through social network services, it may be through blog. So that ICT integration, that our teachers should be familiar with that, so that it can be an integral part of the teacher education program. Similarly, storytelling-based pedagogy, what the policy has recommended, we all know that is everybody is fond of listening story, and that should be also an integral part of teacher education program. That means whatever policy has recommended for school education, that should be reflected in teacher education program, and there should be a perfect linkage between school education and teacher education, so that we can really implement this policy in true sense. And another thing that who are going to implement this program in teacher education institutions, now we have teacher educators. And teacher educators have been oriented long back. And they have to also refresh their knowledge. They have to develop their skills and competencies, keeping in view the recommendation of NEP 2020, keeping in view the requirement of 21st century, because we are going to prepare teachers who can implement this policy very effectively at the grassroots level. So to prepare teachers, we should have good teacher educators, competent teacher educators who knows the pedagogy, who know the content, who know the technology. And because now we are talking of three things, that content, pedagogy, and technology. Only content mastery is purpose. Only pedagogy mastery is not going to serve the purpose. And only technology mastery is not going to serve the purpose. And now we should understand the interrelationship between content and pedagogy, and we should have pedagogical content knowledge. And we should also have about the technology and in the context of content and pedagogy. Understand, if our teacher educators can understand the interrelationship between content and technology, and create a very conducive learning environment in teacher education institutions, then definitely we can implement this policy first in our teacher education institute, because we are going to prepare teachers. If we can prepare good teachers, definitely they can implement this policy in the classroom. So teacher educators are going to play very significant role. We should be very careful when we're preparing teacher education program. That should not be any compromise. So keeping in view all these, what we expect now, we expect a thorough plan for implementation of this policy, particularly in our teacher education program. So, and how we should take care of preparing good teacher educators along with good teachers. Not only the pre-service teachers, in-service teacher, keeping in view the recommendation of policy. I remember when the draft policy came, immediately one pilot in Tripura we conducted because keeping in view the need of the teacher. And after conducting that pilot study, we learned that NISTA program, that is the national initiative for school heads and teachers for holistic advancement. And we implemented that in all the states. It's a very popular program because there what we took into account the recommendation of the policy, and there we have put a lot of emphasis on development of socio-personal qualities, leadership, and other recommendation of the policy. So that is the at that time the draft policy was released and keeping up, and it was a very successful program. Now ministry is implementing this program for secondary teachers and for other teachers also they're planning. So this is that is why now time has come. We should understand what is the implication of it. It is not only the recommendation that is going to play very, and what is the implication of these recommendations and how it can be implemented. That is most important for teacher educators, for policy makers, and also for educational administrators. So by doing that, definitely we can bring about the change. And we have to prepare our students for 21st century, because we do not know what type of job will be available in future because of this fourth industrial revolution. So we should be in a position to develop the basic skills and competencies among the students, that may be life skills and what the 21st century expects, so that they can adjust with any situation, they can face any challenge, and they can convert all the challenges into opportunity. That is our expectation. So I hope this my presentation will be useful, and I'm very happy to be a part of this program. Thank you very much.